Let me know when it hits. Good evening. We'll go on in a few seconds while I try and find the page for the first part of this class. Here it is. Okay, we got it. No. Still 6:59. Hung Hei Fat Choi. Almost. Good evening. It's 7 o'clock here in the northeast of the United States, and this is the Tibet Center, Kunchap Tar Duling, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City, which is where we are now, and northern New Jersey. This is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, specifically stages on the path to enlightenment. This is a recording. If you have anyone for whom you wish us to pray for who has recently passed away, I know Sherry gave me the name Pradeep Gupta. Yeah. Put their names in the chat box or tell Darren. And at the end of the class, when we say Sutra of the Recollection of Three Jewels, everyone will remember them. All the prayers we say are on the website in the FAQ section. Scroll down to prayers. Any problem with picture or sound, please text me. Don't call because it'll knock it off. Text me or Mr. Smith and let me know. So we'll start tonight. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do tonight after we say the prayers. Let's get that most important. Set the motivation to benefit others. How unusual, benefiting others. Held them in Washington, D.C. Prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon, and especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness. May they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind, consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Para Sam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Refuge and Bodhisattva vow, which we repeat 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So we welcome a new person to the Tibet Center family. His name is Clive Bacon. Cheyenne and Joseph Bacon have had a baby boy last night or the day before, whenever he's arrived. Lucky kid, born in a Buddhist family, so who knows? Who knows who he is? So tonight is 3 parts to the class as usual. The light, the medium, the heavy. But first we'll talk about the biggest topic in every Buddhist center, your health. There's lots of advice about it. So we start, of course, with His Holiness Dalai Lama's Approaching the Buddhist Path, and available on an ebook too, right? Which Venerable Karuna has. It's handy if you're a monk or a nun traveling India here. All your books can be electronically carried with you. Wonderful. My day, Sonny. Anyway, this is called Working in the World. It's chapter 12, which starts on page 247. A little intro, but then we'll get to the protein portion of the essay. As Buddhists, and particularly as practitioners of the Mahayana path, we are part of the human community and have the responsibility to benefit that community. Whether they're Buddhists or not, you like them or not. That's it. That's the Mahayana. We should take a more active role in helping society by employing whatever talents and abilities we possess to help others, whether or not they are Buddhist. If the human community is happy and at peace, all of us automatically benefit. This is His Holiness's advice. People's differing temperaments are reflected in 2 types of compassion. The first wants others to be free of their suffering and problems, but still prioritizes happiness for oneself. You can't blame them, all right? The second not only wishes others to be free of suffering, but is also prepared to act to bring this about. The venturing bodhisattva, not just the aspirational adventuring bodhicitta. The experience of compassion is similar in the two, but due to focusing more on the well-being of others and the disadvantages of self-centeredness, the second compassion is courageous and actively engaged with others. You get a courageous feeling when you've settled in your mind the fact that why should I help people, etc. There's an extra benefit. I'll skip a little now. Good health and a positive attitude are assets when we work to benefit others. So we will turn to these topics first. Good health and a positive attitude. We could all use that. Reflections have not been included in this chapter. That's a little things he gives you to meditate in each chapter. So please, at the end of each section, reflect on the main points and how they relate to your own experience and aspirations. In other words, bring it home. Good health and dealing with illness and injury. Everyone desires good health, and for Dharma practitioners, it facilitates our ability to practice. For this reason, we should do our best to maintain our health by eating nutritious meals, exercising and sleeping enough, but not too much, and maintaining good standards of cleanliness. Here, our motivation is not attachment to pleasure or fear of pain. It is the opportunity good health provides us to use our precious human life for Dharma practice. And with good health, you can help others. Very simple. And specifically to cultivate bodhicitta and wisdom in order to benefit all sentient beings at the ultimate level. His Holiness goes on, balance is important. One meaning of the middle way is to avoid the extremes of self-mortification and self-indulgence. Self-mortification one way, self-indulgence on the other. Oh, they took that away? Yeah. All right. Physical suffering comes naturally simply because we have a body. We have a samsaric body. Welcome home. That's the situation. Deliberately inflicting pain on our body does not purify our mind. Make that into a slogan. Deliberately inflicting pain on our body does not purify our mind. A lot of religions think the opposite. Not true. In fact, severe ascetic practices could become another form of self-centeredness if the motive is to gain a good reputation for having the ability to tolerate pain. And don't forget to tell all your friends, I didn't eat for 4 weeks. What are you doing? Take realistic stock of our life as samsaric beings so far, unless you're out of samsara. He continues, self-indulgence hinders Dharma practice by consuming our time. Instead of practicing the Dharma to go beyond the samsaric situation of having a body under the influence of afflictions and karma, we spend inordinate energy and time pampering our body and worrying about its health and comfort to the point of neurosis. Without some of the places, it's gone that far. It is wiser to accept that as long as we are human beings in cyclic existence, we will have a body that is prone to illness, comes with the territory. That's it. He continues, falling ill is not some unusual or unique fate that we alone suffer, nor is it a punishment or indicative of failure on our part. Accepting the limitations of having a samsaric body and understanding it is the basis of our precious human life. We must use it wisely without fussing over it. You get the idea? You get the idea? You get your dumbbells, right? People often write to me for advice regarding illness, His Holiness's thing. They don't write to me. They write to His Holiness. Although my responses vary according to the illness and the person's disposition, I will share some general advice to help others. 1, when you are ill, you should consult a doctor and follow his or her advice. Do not abandon conventional medicine in favor of faith healing. This is the Dalai Lama saying, do not abandon conventional medicine in favor of faith healing. It happens that someone comments to a cancer patient, your anger caused the cancer. I've heard things like that. Not exactly that way, but such comments not only lack compassion, they are mistaken. Diseases come about due to many causes and conditions, and blaming someone who is ill for their disease is heartless. The mind training practice of seeing our illness as a result of destructive actions we have done in previous lives or earlier in this lifetime is very different than blaming the victim. It's a big difference, subtle, but totally different. Seeing illness in this way does not mean that we deserve to suffer. No one deserves to suffer. No one deserves to suffer. Daisy, rather, we act and experience results that are in accord with those actions that we've done in the past. Daisy seeds grow into daisies. They do not produce chilies. Sorry, Tenzin. Sorry. Thinking in this way enables us to release our anger and sense of injustice and accept the situation. It's cause and effect acting out. That's it. Their karma, your karma. That's it. So what do we do about it? We notice that and we go with that system. We know that if we do positive things, we will get positive results. That's the key to controlling our destiny. So His Holiness goes on, and I should shut up. Thinking in this way enables us to release our anger and sense of injustice and accept the situation. Why me? Why me? Why doesn't go anywhere? Doing this transforms a bad situation into a learning experience, because we understand that if we do not like suffering results, we should abandon creating their causes in the future. This gives us a great impetus to let go of destructive actions and negative habits. He continues on page 249, in case you're following along with the music score. Thinking that the karma that caused the illness could have instead ripened in a far worse suffering helps put our misery in perspective. Cancer is not at all pleasant, but if that karma had ripened to an unfortunate rebirth, we would have been in an even worse situation, a rebirth where you commit more bad actions and make things worse. Reflecting in this way helps us to realize that we can, in fact, endure our present misery. In addition, because that karma has now ripened, it's very important, because that karma has now ripened, its energy has been consumed and cannot afflict us again. You're purifying. Congratulations. The hard way, but okay. Distinguishing between physical pain and mental suffering is crucial. Here's the technique that you take on yourself. First of all, you distinguish between physical pain and mental suffering, and that's crucial. Even if your body is ill, your mind can remain peaceful. And a relaxed mind will lessen your suffering and help the body heal. So double benefit. Physical pain, but you keep a calm mind, a peaceful mind, a relaxed mind, as best as you can. That will lessen your suffering and help the body heal. He continues, sit quietly and observe the difference between the actual physical pain of the illness or injury and the mental suffering caused by fear and anxiety. Watch that. Oh, maybe this, and oh, no, this is gonna, oh, shut up. Watch the pain, calm the mind. By letting our preconceptions proliferate and imagining all sorts of horrible things that could happen due to our illness or injury, our mind can cause us more misery than our physical condition. Oh, yes, I think so. I've had this happen to me. Different illness. My leg's never going to get better, and this, shut up. You do that. Instead of indulging the anxiety, bring your attention to a wholesome way of viewing the situation. Contemplate the kindness of those who are taking care of you. By doing so, you will be filled with strong gratitude, and don't think that doesn't help heal. Remembering, he continues, that tragedy is not unique to ourselves also helps us to broaden our view and prevents us from falling into self-pity, which only increases misery. No pity parties, please. Forbidden in the Tibet Center. It only increases your misery. He advises this way. We can contemplate, His Holiness says. At this very moment, many others are experiencing far worse miseries, and many of them have no protector, no refuge, and no friends to help them. We have the Dharma. We have the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas 24/7 anywhere we are. You have to open up to them. They're always broadcasting. Tune into their channel. I am more fortunate, for I can rely on the three jewels. You should think this way. And so many friends, relatives, and even strangers, such as the hospital staff, they're all helping me. For someone who is ill, my situation is quite good. Think that way. Then send love and compassion to others who are ill, injured, or unjustly imprisoned by wishing them to be free of misery and to have all happiness. You can combine this with the taking and giving meditation discussed before, the Tong Len. There's scientific results that show people who are prayed for heal faster. These are clinical tests done on hospital patients and not by Buddhists. Prayer in general, surveys, they heal faster. So there is something going on. We are not distant from others. If you send a good thought, someone's really ill. Some of the Tibet Center members are quite ill now. You remember them when you say you're present of them. If you're really good, bring the suffering to you, bring your happiness to them. It works. Secular scientists are telling us that it works. No. And it doesn't cost anything. It's free of charge. His Holiness continues on page 250, remembering that such problems are characteristic of cyclic existence, the name of the game, helps us generate the determination to be free and attain liberation. As long as we're in this mess, that's it. You like it? Let's get the hell out. Let's get out. This gives our Dharma practice a big boost by helping us make Dharma, not the 8 worldly concerns, our priority in life. In addition, suffering has some benefits. It makes us humbler and helps us to open our heart and compassion for others. When you suffer a certain way or have a certain illness, you see others, you really feel for them. It's no longer, oh, look at that poor soul. You're more on the same wavelength. He continues, visualization practices could also be helpful, more technique. At the place, now this is a meditation, so we'll have to go slowly and you pay attention. At the place where you experience pain, visualize the syllables of a mantra or a ball of light. You know, it's a ball of light. Its brilliant yet gentle white light radiates and fills the painful or diseased area, purifying all illness and pain and filling the area with bliss, doing both, purifying and enhancing. Think that way. Not hard. Oh, it's just try it. See if you get results. And then sign the form. No, seriously, His Holiness continues, doing purification to cleanse the karma causing the illness is also helpful. Well, this karma is ripening. Purifying karma that's already ripened or is presently ripening isn't possible, mostly. But the karma that perpetuates the illness in the future can be purified. However, when karma is extremely heavy, preventing it from ripening altogether is difficult, although purification can make the results shorter or less severe. It also makes the mind more peaceful and thus better able to handle the illness. So that's a very concise way of looking at illness, and we're all going to get sick for this or that, severe or light sickness. Why freak out? Here's the way you should handle it. So this is recording. You can go over it if you miss parts of it. I think it's very important. And you don't have to be a Buddhist to do this. So maintaining a positive attitude, the next section. I don't want to do that. No. Page 250. Except for a few rare individuals who can devote their full energies to meditation 24 hours a day, the majority of Buddhists should remain active in helping their communities. Social engagement is vital, but without meditation, our work in society may not become a genuine Dharma activity. On the other hand, without a social component, our practices of benefiting others may not be truly effective. Balance is important in our life and our public life. Whenever you can offer direct help to others, do so. In Tibet, when I saw animals on the way to be slaughtered, I would send someone to buy them, and we gave the animals shelter. In India, seeing animals in cages on trucks pains me a lot. However, I cannot pull over the trucks and buy the animals. Instead, I recite mantras and prayers for them, reflect on karma, and generate compassion. Countless sentient beings toil in cyclic existence. All of them are caught up in the 3 types of dukkha, 3 types of suffering, moil. Obvious physical and mental suffering, even animals know that. Suffering because happy circumstances are fleeting, the suffering of change, which everybody calls pleasure, happiness, whoopee. Happy circumstances are fleeting in samsara. This is the nature of the beast. Of course, and suffering by being under the influence of all afflictions and karma, the pervasive suffering. We're in this life impelled by afflictions and karma. You get the resultant body, you get the resultant circumstances. That's where we are. No use faking it and thinking we're not. In your meditation, you can imagine Pure Lands and stuff like that, to laying down tracks for future residents there. maybe, mental down payment. But right now, this is what this situation. We're on the influence of a karmic body, under the influence of karma and afflictions. Better. Of course, His Holiness says we cannot solve all of these problems. Cyclic existence remains. Things will never be perfect in samsara. But making even small contributions to one person or to 10 people to help them have peace of mind is worthwhile. We have done something. Giving up hope, withdrawing, and doing nothing is senseless. Do something. We are all tourists here on earth. We stay just a short time. Our body's like a rental car, right? We stay just a short time. So let's not be troublemakers while we're here. Every being wants to be happy and has the right to be. It is our responsibility to make a contribution toward their well-being, and we must do what we can. That's the purpose of life. From a Buddhist viewpoint, cyclic existence has been faulty since beginningless time. There's nothing good in it. Because all sentient beings are under the influence of afflictions and karma. Sentient beings, the definition is one who is under affliction and karma. The Buddha is not a sentient being. So at full enlightenment, Buddhahood, not under the afflictions and karma. Even the arhats, the Pradimoksha practitioners who have achieved the Pradimoksha level, they still are burdened by not having omniscience. So they're still sentient beings. Noble sentient beings, but sentient beings, if you want to get technical. Now let's return to reality. Because all sentient beings are under the influence of afflictions and karma, trying to create a perfect world by rearranging external conditions is impossible. Because of this worldview, Tibetans do not expect so much from external situations. They accept difficulties more readily and are more easily satisfied. If we cultivate a view that does not expect fantastic happiness and magnificence in cyclic existence, we will be more content with what we have. Rather than leading to apathy or complacency, having modest expectations makes our minds more stable and prevents discouragement. That's loaded. These fantastic imaginations we have of making this the perfect place, it's going to fall, hit the wall. So why go there? Be content with what we have. In the back of mind, know that we're under the influence of karma and affliction. You're more relaxed, more at ease. You're more realistic. He continues, people ask me how I can bear suffering in Tibet, how I can bear the suffering of Tibet. When I compare the suffering in Tibet with the suffering of cyclic existence, the latter is much worse. We cannot close our eyes to suffering of any kind. Looking at our own suffering, we generate the determination to be free. This is compassion for ourselves. When seeing the suffering of others, we generate great compassion and bodhicitta and engage in practices that directly or indirectly contribute to their well-being. Sometimes we may want to help, but the situation may not allow it. People who do humanitarian work in war zones speak of the danger they face in places where human beings have many disturbing emotions and cannot even think clearly. I'm fortunate not to be there now. These aid workers, we heard, these aid workers have 1 foot there and 1 foot ready to run because there's no value in their getting killed. Even if the Buddha were to go to some of these places, he could not do much to help. Under these circumstances, we may have to leave the situation physically, but can continue to send our compassion and pray for the well-being of those trapped there. We can actively work to educate people in danger of being drawn into the conflict. Although we may not be able to extinguish the fire, we can at least prevent it from spreading. Do not ignore the value of this. Well-meaning individuals ask me how to develop the courage to keep trying to make a difference in a world that seems so chaotic. No matter how numerous the difficulties and no matter how large the obstacles, if our aim is reasonable and beneficial, we must keep our determination and maintain constant effort. If something is good for the larger community, it doesn't matter whether that goal materializes in our lifetime. We must keep working toward it. The next generation can build upon the good work we have done, and with time, things will change. Let me see what time we have. With time, we'll have a little. Yeah, okay. Using diverse methods to benefit others. We'll do this because it's very important in our life, and it's easy to understand. As limited beings, we may find it difficult to know what is beneficial for others. Sometimes our prejudice, attachment, and anger color the situation. We have preconceived ideas about how others should live their lives. The first step in helping others is clearing away the afflictions and self-preoccupation from our own minds. Clean up your house. Second, we actively cultivate love, compassion, and courage in order to have the inner strength to be of assistance. Purification and gathering merit. We're doing the both. Third, we develop the wisdom to determine the most skillful way to help. At this point, we may practice the four types of awakening activity: peace, increase, control, and wrath. You'll hear that in the tantras. Pacifying, increasing, stuff like that. Initially, we practice these in meditation. First, imagining purifying the afflictions of others by encouraging them to purify their negativities, and then imagining increasing their lifespan, wisdom, and merit by inspiring them to act constructively. I'll talk about this imagining when we go to the emptiness. It's going to be very interesting. Next, we imagine being able to influence or control their afflictions through the force of our wisdom and compassion. Finally, for those who are intractable, we imagine, employing wrathful means to destroy their ability to harm others. Imagine, Darren, right? John Lennon was right. To apply these four to an actual situation, let's take the example of someone who's about to perform some act of cruelty. A bodhisattva who lacks clairvoyant powers and thus doesn't know exactly what is best to do in the situation begins with peaceful means. She uses gentle measures to intercede, pacifying that person by giving comfort, verbally addressing his concerns, or using reason to dissuade her from harming someone. If that doesn't work, yes, next, she tries increasing his well-being. She may give him medicine or a gift, or teach him a topic that interests him. If this too doesn't work, and I guarantee it won't, anyway, if this too doesn't work, she will use strong pressure or influence to try to steer him in a good direction. Should that too fail, she may intimidate the person through aggressive means or destroy his ability to harm others. Now we're getting nasty. Such forceful action must be motivated by compassion, not by vengeance, and is used only as a last resort. And it takes a more realized person to do that. The basic approach here is to apply whatever techniques are most effective to relieve our own or others' difficulty. This is consistent with the advice that there is nothing a bodhisattva should not learn. No place you shouldn't go when you're at a certain level. We don't use just the Dharma to prevent or solve our own and others' problems, but also eat a healthy diet, exercise, and use whatever type of medical treatment is suitable. Complementing Buddhist practice with other methods is fine, although it is wise to remember that they are distinct fields. For example, if Buddhists have issues that psychotherapy can help solve, they can and should enter therapy. Dharma centers could have counselors who are also Dharma students. Students would not regard the counselors as spiritual teachers, but could discuss psychological issues with them. They're mental health doctors. I am happy to hear that some Buddhists are developing Buddhist-based psychotherapeutic methods. From our one viewpoint, anything can be considered Buddhist if it is motivated by bodhicitta. However, just because a practice is done by a Buddhist does not necessarily make it a Buddhist practice. For example, to attain liberation, a Buddhist must practice serenity meditation. But this in itself is not a Buddhist practice because practitioners of other traditions do it as well. Similarly, except for insight into impermanence and selflessness, insight in itself cannot be called Buddhist because non-Buddhists also practice it. Techniques from disciplines such as psychotherapy can be adopted by Buddhists, but that does not make these techniques Buddhist. From this viewpoint, the only techniques or practices that can specifically be called Buddhist are those directly relating to the goal of liberation from cyclic existence. For example, the meditation on selflessness, emptiness. Other disciplines such as psychology or yoga do not entail believing in a permanent soul or creator, and if they make us kinder or healthier persons, we may use them. If other disciplines teach beliefs that conflict with Buddhist views or create difficulties in our practice, it is wiser to leave them aside. This is general common sense. This is the general position. There may be many exceptions. For instance, to help people with low self-esteem have a better view of themselves, teaching them that there is a permanent soul may be helpful. In fact, Buddha did that. Even the Buddha taught a permanent self in some scriptures as a skillful means to benefit a particular audience. And some people say that some of these central figures of various religions are actually Buddhist acting that way, or they're acting with the empowerment of Buddhism, because that's best for the practices of that religion. Allah, etc. So who knows? I don't. We'll leave it there because we're wasting time. And I said something about practice of emptiness. Why do we have to go into it? Our view of the world is not correct. And as a matter of fact, we're projecting it. We are imagining, you might say, an inherent existence that's not there. We imagine this. Now, Tantra uses imagination to deliberately imagine these techniques. That it's not the way it is. Imagine this goes into emptiness, this forms it. So think this carefully, because we are projecting an unreal situation. That unreal situation, that ignorance, is causing us all the trouble we have. So that's the purpose of studying emptiness. And everybody else is doing this, etc. and so forth. So we're continuing with this book on praise of dependent arising. They call it praise of dependent relativity. Negi calls it dependent arising. Whatever it is, it's the same text written by Khapa. So it's going to get very thick here. And we'll go slow, but it's going to introduce you to this idea of what they mean when things are dependent on others, how they're relational, how conditions and causes differ. His examples are really strange, so I leave them out. But you read this text, and he's a little wacky about, where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, what about the smoke in someone's mouth? Come on, don't get started. And what about dry ice emanating? Let's not get off the track. So anyway, this is page 65 of this nice book, Losang Gyatso, the Venerable Losang Gyatso in Graham Woodhouse. I found an old Losang Gyatso book that does the same topic by himself. It's an old Tibetan archive book. I found it. I was trying to clean my house for once. Okay. Page 265. All phenomena arise independent on other phenomena. Independence on other phenomena. You, me, the house, the car, everything. The meaning of a phenomenon being dependently related or dependently arisen is that it exists only by virtue of or in reliance upon many phenomena other than itself. The simple test of whether X is related to or dependent on X, whether Y rather, is related to a bad mathematician, whether Y is related to or dependent on X is to ask, well, if X did not occur, by the power of that, would you say Y would not occur? So then they are. No X, no Y. Okay, thank you. Related is sometimes, I skip now because he's talking about the smoke thing, which drives me nuts, and everyone else too. Have read this, people. Related is sometimes taken to mean meeting or coming together. That's all. So being dependently related then gives a sense of being established independence on the meeting or coming together of many phenomena. Okay? You with me so far? You getting it? Okay. The meaning of arising does not go beyond the meaning of being established here. That's what it means. Established. That's what he's saying. So the meaning of arising does not go beyond the meaning of being established here. Dependently established, you could say. All right? Keep the language easy. Caused phenomena. This is careful now. Caused phenomena are readily understood to be effects that arise independent upon their causes. An example. The seed and the flower. The seed and the chili plant. Okay, you happy, Tenzin? But all phenomena, even permanent ones, those that are not caused and are not changing moment to moment, come into being only in dependence on other phenomena, on phenomena other than themselves. So they are also reckoned as dependent arisings, at least by followers of the middle way. Madhyamikas, think that one, Mahayanas, whatever. Schools, middle way schools. Examples of permanent phenomena, abstract phenomena like instance and generality. Now, here's where it gets thick. Excuse me. I'm allergic to Chinese moon cakes. New Year is coming up, by the way. Chinese New Year and Tibet New Year the same day. There'll be millions in Times Square. Right? You're going, right? Okay. Cause phenomena, okay? That we got that. Uncaused, I'll give you a few examples. And one we always use is space, uncompounded space. So all phenomena permanent are those that are not cause or not changing moment to moment, they come into being only in dependence on other phenomena other than themselves. So they are also reckoned as dependent arising, at least by followers of the middle way schools. The example of permanent phenomena are abstract phenomena like instance and generality. And those are concept, not a particular one, but the general idea of instance and generality. There'll be a little thing about how to think this way about instance and generality. True cessations, the third of the four truths. That's, I don't always say that's uncaused, but it's a permanent phenomenon in some way. Once you have a true cessation, that's it. The absences of the afflictions and their seeds in the minds of realized beings. That's another example. That's cessation. As is uncompounded space, characterized as the absence of obstruction and contact. That kind of space. Not the space that you pay real estate prices for. Buddhist philosophers understand the word condition. Another important thing. You have to use these words the way they use them in your mind so you can follow the arguments. They use the word condition to mean something like cause. For some, cause and conditions have the same extension. For others, the main object that transforms into a particular thing is the cause of that result, while the other contributory factors, which may arise only just prior to the formation of the effect, are the conditions. For instance, someone makes a pot. The main cause is the clay. The other conditions are the potter, the wheel, etc. That's all. If the substance continues into the finished product, that's called the main cause. It's an argument, that's all. You don't have to get hung up. For instance, in Tibetan medicine, there are illnesses that are of a hot nature and those that are of a cold nature. Okay? When someone who has a complaint of the latter, the cold nature, goes out in cold weather, the illness manifests and she starts to feel unwell. The illness has a causal sequence that begins long before the time of going outside. You are prone to it. Cold weather will hurt you. If that's way back cause, then you go outside, you blame the cold weather, but you've had something that the cold weather triggers. Okay? The cold weather is the immediate occasion or condition that causes the symptoms to manifest strongly so that she feels indisposed. However, it is important to note that the lines, what on conditions does apply is empty of inherent beings. Anything that relies on conditions is empty of inherent existence, empty of inherent being. Why do we say that? Because we can automatically think everything is on its own, objective out there, and then we're up against it. We imagine that it's out there and we're up against it. We're killing ourselves. So you can use imagination and Tantra to reverse that. We already imagine. Why not judo it? You know, a little bit like that. But let's see what they say. This refers to all phenomena, whether caused or uncaused. Okay? All right. Caused phenomena are created in dependence upon conditions. Permanent phenomena are not created from causes and conditions, but they still rely on conditions since they only arise when certain conditions are present, and they cease to exist when those conditions are not fulfilled. They are said to be established independent on conditions, though not created in dependence on them. It's very strange verbal jujitsu here. It's a little thick, the way they're announcing it, but I have to find better commentaries, but this isn't bad. He's not saying anything wrong. We have made a preliminary varieties of dependent arising. So we have made a preliminary explanation of how a phenomena such as a person depends fundamentally on causes and conditions and on parts. Causes, conditions, parts, right? For a full appreciation of dependent arising, we will now explore some other versions of it, such as the interdependence of agent, action, and object, of generality and instance, of opposites, and of observer and observed. Observer and observed is key, a big deal. Pardon me. For there to be a song, there has to be someone who sings it. Well, we can argue that, but let's let him loose now. And the action of singing. When you give something, everything's supposed to be empty. The action of giving, the giver, the recipient, the gift itself. So none of these three can exist in isolation from the others. The action of singing and the object produced by that action, the song, arise as effects of the agent, the singer. The singer, in turn, is also established in dependence upon them, called a singer because they sing a song, even though it's his effects. Someone is a mother because of the child she has produced. The child, in fact, is the reason you're being called a mother. So in some way, effect, the cause are related that way. You get the name mother because you had a child. Thank you, Cheyenne. I hope the boy lives and Clive lives very long. Here again, the cause depends on the effect just as much as the effect depends on the cause. The agent, action, and object are all mutually dependent. Someone says, this is very good now. This is excellent. You really redeemed yourself with this one. And think way now. We're going a little thought experiment, a mental experiment. Someone says, there's some fruit on the table if you're hungry. You have a picture now of table, fruit, etc. There's fruit on the table if you're hungry. In my day, that was an artistic thing to do when I was a kid. All the women had bowls of fruit in the kitchen or the dining or whatever. Some of it was fake. The real estate stage fruit. Anyway, there's fruit on the table if you're hungry. The kind is not specified, right? So what appears to your mind on hearing the term fruit? Just the generality fruit. You may have your own particular view of what should be there or not. I hate kumquats. But just the generality fruit comes into your mind. Watch the mind play these games. When you look at the table, however, the fruit there wholly on the strength of this instance being there. We find the fruit there wholly on the strength of its instances being there. Fruit's the general term, but now you look at the table, bananas, pears, apple. So we're talking apples and oranges here, right? Yes, we are. Yet no individual instance or group of instances of fruit, bananas, papaya, mango, and so on, can be equated with the generality fruit. This is the way the mind categorizes things, and we forget that. So fruit is fruit. It didn't say what it is specifically. The one that pervades or extends all the varieties, nor is fruit found separately as a distinct entity in addition to the individual varieties. Okay, we'll say that again because it's a very good way to think, especially when you're involved with Buddhist talkers and debaters. No individual instance or group of instances of fruit, banana, papaya, mango, and so on, can be equated with the generality fruit. Yes, they're under the category of fruit, but it can't be equated with it. The one that pervades or extends over all the varieties, nor is fruit found separately as a distinct entity in addition to the individual varieties. No, when you say fruit, it's got to be a fruit there. Does it have to be this or that? So that's what he's saying. So to explain the presence of the generality, we again must ponder the process of imputation, how fruit appears to mind in dependence on its instances. So to explain the presence of the generality, you again must ponder the process of imputation, how fruit appears to mind in dependence on its instances. If the generality fruit is absent from the table, any instances, orange, apple, or melon, will be absent too. There's no fruit on the table, you lied. No. Thus showing how a generality and its instances are mutually dependent. It's a little thick, but you can go over that. You can imagine pieces of fruit, and then you'll be running out to the supermarket. But that's fine. It's good for you. In pairs of opposites, such as hot and cold, beautiful and ugly, fat and thin, each component of the pair needs the other to exist. Right? Think about it. There's dependence there. It's not just that this was caused by that. There's dependence, fat and thin. In order to define hot, we have to distinguish it from cold. The category cold has to exist for hot to have any meaning. And hot has to exist for cold to have any meaning. This is the way the mind works, categorizes, etc. If there were no cold to contrast it with, how could hot be understood? Right? No such phenomenon as hot or cold has an identity in its own right. So we may not yell out, no, it's cold because there's hot also. No, but that's in it. You don't walk around yelling that. So their identities only emerge through an awareness of the relationship between them. There's the key word. Their identities only emerge through an awareness of the relationship between them. It may not be bland, obvious neon sign, but there's an awareness of it. Moreover, which of the two of a pair of opposites applies in a given case is often wholly subjective. We think here, he's going to explain this now. We think here of the place we are, and there for the other side of the room or valley. I'm here, Darren's over there. I see. And Darren will say he's here, and I'm over there. Got it? You got ideas? Chung used to say, you got it? Oh, yes, I got the idea. Oh, you didn't. Oh, well. People over there, where they are is here and where we are is there. Okay. For one particular place, there are two opposite apprehensions, one valid for each of the two observers. Oh. Self and other are a similar case. I like the way he slips this in. For any one person in a room of 100 people, full of 100 people, there will be one person thinking self and 99 people equally properly thinking other of that person. Here, and these are others. You get it? This is how the trick we do 24/7. The trick we do, that's stupid English. This is how we fool ourselves. We're imagining unreality. And we think that there's no here, that's it. No. There are two simple examples of how the nature of the object, the observed, is determined by the perspective of the observer. In Tibetan, butter tea tasty or unpleasant? It rather depends on the taster. Sounds like those written by Nikki. It rather depends on the taster. No, really. Some people say delicious. Some people, ugh. Some people like that. Other people don't. Some people go boo. And they thank you very much and run to the bathroom and get rid of it. I've seen that. It depends. Remember that Cajun chef? He said, what's the best wine? The kind you like. That's it. The category isn't there. This is the best mouton. It's cost you $4 million. You don't like it. It's not the best. Sorry. Well, there goes the whole market for luxury items. We just blew that apart. You don't like it, it's not worth it. These examples prompt an appreciation of how, and we're going to wind it up now, prompt an appreciation of how any phenomenon arises solely as an interconnection in a network of relationships. Indra's net, you might say, notice that these observations apply across the board, not just to persons, but to all cause phenomena, and in many cases, to all phenomena whatsoever. In the previous chapter, we refuted two false modes of existence of the self: the conception of apprehending the self to be permanent, unitary, and independent, and the one apprehending self to be self-sufficient and substantially established. We got rid of those two. The absence of either of these false modes of existence is known as selflessness. Meditation on either of them is first and foremost a corrective to wrong views of the self or person. Thinking about the dependent relationship pointed out so far in this chapter will counteract the more pervasive false mode of existence, the more subtle way of viewing things, that would subtle impediment we have to get rid of. Yeah. A more pervasive false mode of existence that we impute or imagine, same meaning, not just to ourselves and other people, but to all phenomena. The absence of this mode of existence, this imaginary mode of existence, you might say, applying as it does to all phenomena and not to persons alone, is known as selflessness or as an emptiness. So that's that. We didn't get to the root text, but we'll get to that next time. Next Wednesday when I reappear. Out of empty. No, I don't reappear. For whom will we pray besides Pradeep Gupta? Sri Pradeep Gupta. Is it Das Gupta or Gupta? Das Gupta. Yeah, Das Gupta. Okay. Sanskrit name. Means light. Pradeep. Lamp. Sutra, the recollection of three jewels. I prostrate to the omniscient one. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He's completely ornamented with all patience. He's the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who rise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. That's it. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. So on tap, we have tomorrow night, Venerable Karuna, Tenzin Karuna, also known here as Jackie, will be teaching tomorrow night, Wednesday night. And then Saturday afternoon, we have White Tara presentation at 1 o'clock in the parsonage in South Orange, New Jersey. Everyone is welcome. There's food, there's cake, there's carrying on after the meditation. Before that, no. And the weather's given us a break, so it's not as, the last one was kind of cold and snowy, but now it's not. And then the following Tuesday night, Venerable Karuna will be here in Bowery and Houston Street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and she will also lecture. We have Tibet New Year coming up on the 10th, I believe, along with Chinese New Year. I think the two of them are on the same day. So you better order a lot of stomach medicine. You'll be eating a lot. Anyway, that's it. That's the schedule so far. I'm very happy to announce that, and we did it before, that Cheyenne has had a healthy boy named Clive, Joseph. So Joseph, I hope your mom is doing well also. That's going to be, and that's it. So big love to all of you.